How's it going, guys? I'm back with another overview of the NBA All-Time Team Tournament that I'm doing on NBA 2K22. We're now into the Elite 8 of the tournament. I'm going to be going over the results of the second round and previewing the next round and giving my predictions on who's going to win. So getting right into it, the first series we had the Lakers and the Jazz. The Jazz should have won this series in Game 4, but they shat the bed, and the Lakers eventually won in Game 5. The Lakers, I thought, were going to absolutely destroy the Jazz and sweep them, but that was not the case. The Jazz fought their hearts out and made it a 5-game series, and they honestly should have won the series in Game 4, but they allowed it to go to overtime, and they just couldn't do shit in overtime. Gordon Hayward specifically was fucking atrocious in overtime. That man single-handedly lost them the game. Yeah, unfortunate. I like rooting for upsets, and I thought the Jazz were going to do it, but unfortunately they could not, and the Lakers did advance. Moving on to the next series, the Knicks, again in a Game 5, beat the Pelicans. I really thought the Pelicans were going to win this series, just considering what they did to the Bucks, and the Knicks struggled with the Pacers, so I thought the Pelicans would continue their Cinderella run, but unfortunately it came up short, and the Knicks did advance. It was a pretty close series overall. I was rooting for the Pelicans just to continue their run, but unfortunately, it will not. So the Knicks advance. Moving on to the next series, we have the Sixers and the Spurs. This one also went 5 games, and the Spurs came out on top. Quite a wild series. They blew out the Sixers in Game 1, lost on a last-second shot by Allen Iverson in Game 2, shat the bed in Game 3, win a close one in Game 4, and then they blow them out again in Game 5. Yeah, just kind of a weird series there. I believe I did pick the Spurs to win, and they did. Another 5-game series. So these first 3 series here all ended in a Game 5 is pretty fucking wild that they all did. So the Spurs are advancing. Moving on to the next series, the Nets and the Rockets. The Nets win in 4 games, and every single game was basically a blowout. The closest game was Game 1, where the Nets won by 9 points. Yeah, I picked the Nets to win. I thought it would go 5 games, but they won in 4. I don't know. I was contemplating changing my pick. I thought the Rockets were going to win. After I made the prediction that the Nets would, I just kind of reflected on it. I was like, man, the Rockets, I think, have a pretty damn good squad. I think they could definitely win this series in a sweep or in 4 games. But the Nets did pull it off, and they just continue to roll. So I'm looking forward to their series against the Spurs. We'll see how that one goes. Next series, we have the Warriors and Cavs, and there's really not shit to say about this series other than the Warriors fucking steamrolled the Cavs in just about every game. Game 2 was close, but the Warriors pulled away in the end. Cavaliers just fucked it all up and apparently didn't want to win because I think they did have the lead and just shat it away. And the Warriors pulled it off, and that was basically it because that offense is just too fucking good. The three-point shooting, interior play, they just have everything, and it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. I don't know. They might not lose a game in this tournament. It is absolutely insane how they are just blowing away the competition. So, yeah, they're moving on. Next series, you got the Kings and the Bulls. Bulls sweep them. That series was also not close. Bulls defense is just amazing. So I am looking forward to this next series between the Warriors and the Bulls. That is definitely going to be my series, or the series that I'm going to want to watch out of the next 4. Next, we have the Nuggets and the Thunder once again come out on top in a 5-game series thriller. Once again, a crazy elimination game. They just know how to win these clutch games. Like I said in my last video, they just refuse to die. They just do not go away. They somehow find a way to win every single time it matters, or when they desperately need to. So they are moving on. And lastly, we have the Hawks and Celtics. Celtics put a fucking beat down on the Hawks. None of those games were close. I thought the Hawks might take 1, possibly 2 games, but the Celtics are just showing that they have a fuck ton of firepower as well on that roster. So they are moving on. So yeah, that's it for the second round, and moving on to the last 8 teams here, the Elite 8 of this tournament. First matchup, we have the Lakers and the Knicks. I am going to say that the Lakers win this series easy. I honestly think that they could sweep it. The Knicks are by far, in my opinion, the shittiest team left in this field. They struggled against the shitty Pacers, and they struggled against the Pelicans, and the Pelicans are not like a terrific team by any means. They had to go 5 games in each of those series. I know the Lakers had to go up against the Jazz, but I think the Jazz are much better than the Pacers and Pelicans. So I think the Lakers are going to have their way with the Knicks and sweep this series. If they don't sweep, I think they're winning in 4. I just can't see the Knicks making this a 5-game series or win this series. So I'll take the Lakers in that matchup. Next matchup, we have the Spurs and the Nets. I'm going to keep rolling with the Nets here. I think that they're going to beat the Spurs. Philly is a decent team, but I don't think they are as good as the Rockets, and the Nets handled the Rockets pretty handily. So I think that they will beat the Spurs in this series. I even think that they could sweep this series. I don't know. The Spurs do have a knack as well to just not go away, and they fight, and somehow they've pulled it off these last 2 rounds. So yeah, I'm curious to see who will come out on top in that one. Next, we have the Warriors against the Bulls, and man, I'm really looking forward to recording these games here. I'm definitely looking forward to this series the most out of the rest of them. We have an unstoppable offense against an unstoppable defense. The Bulls' defense is fucking amazing, and the Warriors' offense has just been unstoppable. Now, I will take the Warriors in this one. Obviously, I picked them to win the whole thing, but I think that they could possibly sweep this series. I know the Bulls have a great defense, and they have fucking Michael Jordan on their team, but the Warriors as a whole are just so fucking good. They've been in one close game, and even that game wasn't even that close. They won by 7 points. And the Bulls actually managed to lose a game against the Raptors, so they are definitely not invincible by any means. They shat all over the Kings, but this is definitely a different kind of beast going up against the Warriors. So I'm obviously going to pick the Warriors, and I am going to say that the Warriors sweep just because their offense is just insane right now. So I'm going to be picking them to move on. And then the last series that we got here, we have the Thunder and the Celtics. I really want to pick the Celtics in this one just because of what they did to the Hawks. They just shat all over them. But like I said, the Thunder just do not die. They just do not go away. And I am going to go with my gut and pick the Thunder to beat the Celtics in this series. So, yeah, I think it'll be another 5-game series, honestly. The Celtics by all means could definitely sweep the Thunder. They have a really good team, but something in me just wants to pick the Thunder and keep rolling with them. I'm rooting for them to win and just keep winning. I kind of want them to go all the way. So those are the matchups that we have for the Elite 8 of this tournament. I'm looking forward to recording these games. Yeah, so I'm excited to see who will be advancing to the Final Four, and hopefully you guys look forward to it as well and enjoy watching this next batch of games coming up. Appreciate you guys watching. Take it easy.